The DUP has again refused to lift its boycott, which has trapped £600 million in cash earmarked for public sector pay rises, and nothing has happened since the collapse of Stormont nearly 2 years ago. And Chris Heaton Harris, the Northern Ireland Secretary, has said that the stalemate is, quote, disappointing, and that the government would implement a pragmatic and reasonable approach to support Northern Ireland in the absence of anyone sitting in Stormont. So in other words, it has to be rule from Westminster. Two years of stagnation because the DUP is too bloody minded to actually do the job that it's been elected to do. And Sinn Féin, Michelle O'Neill has said that Northern Ireland is now in free fall. 80% of workers in the public sector, according to the unions, are expected to back strike action today to demand the release of £600 million from a £3.3 billion package, which Chris Heaton Harris has refused to release, in fact. He was offering it before Christmas. He says that all the money is contingent on Stormont returning. And yet the DUP is still demanding more. The DUP earlier this week, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, the leader of the DUP, said there was significant progress in talks with the government to meet the party's demands. And it's about safeguarding the role of Northern Ireland within the United Kingdom. I think the longer the DUP holds out for more, the more fragile Northern Ireland becomes. And it's hopeless, really. An immediate budget allocation for public sector workers needs to happen, and beyond that, which means that Chris Heaton Harris should be releasing those funds. If that means that the political decisions, need to be taken for running Stormont from Westminster, then I'm afraid that has to happen, and the Stormont Assembly simply needs to be sidelined. If it's not going to meet, what is the point of having it? And the £3.3 billion package which was presented was, well, it seems to be extremely generous. And to be rejected is absurd. And people in Northern Ireland have a right to see the assembly that they elected back in Stormont, back doing its job, functioning. If it's not functioning, new elections, start again, or frankly close the assembly entirely and govern Northern Ireland from Westminster. But it is fundamentally wrong, I think, not to have this form of not to have this form of government functioning. Not to have a vacuum for 2 years is fundamentally wrong, and it's got very little to do with whether one approves or disapproves of Brexit, whether one approves or disapproves of the DUP or Sinn Féin. It's to do with the fact people have been elected and they're not doing their job. And that seems to be fundamentally wrong. And incidentally, I would say the same thing. And I know there'll be people making comments and saying, I don't understand Northern Ireland. I would say exactly the same thing about people elected to the Palace of Westminster who don't sit in the chamber and don't do their job.